And there's a special visit in Benue State as we speak, and you want to know the people who visited, the U.S. lawmakers, especially on the genocide, the Christian genocide claims. They have visited Benue State, and that's exactly one of the news we're tracking for you as we speak. And of course, this is the segment of the newspaper headlines and analysis where we check into the stories that are making the rounds across the country. So we pinpoint some of the stories, of course, on Daily Trust newspaper. Genocide, U.S. lawmakers visit Benue. That's the big caption right there. Something to check out for. What are they to do? We understand why they have come. What are they going to get from this? Are they going to get a confirmation to that effect or not? But whatever the case is, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what becomes of this particular story. And we'll get you updated abreast of all of those information as we have them breaking on the newspaper. Now, moving on from that particular story to another big story, not a good one. 7 women protesters killed in Adamawa. I don't like to break these kind of stories, but again, hey, what we have to say is what we have on the story, on the print. That's what we are going to talk about today. We'll talk about other stories still trending and making the rounds across the nation. Now, I won't do this alone because I have someone who's going to help us unpack so many of the stories right this moment. I have with me Victor Akale. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, Victor, this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's get into the story, particularly the story of troops killing bandits, rescue victims in Sokoto. That's on Daily Trust newspaper. We'll merge this story and the Adamawa story. On Daily Trust newspaper, we have it on boldly written on the front page that troops kill bandits and rescue abductees in Sokoto. Of course, that's the big one. And the other one that is more like it is 7 women protesters also killed in Adamawa. That is also coming as a shock. We have some of these issues as security issues, and we are still tracking them. But we'll get into some of this analysis, and I think we should start now. So let me take it from the angle that troops are killing bandits and rescuing victims in Sokoto. It seems like someone would maybe say now that it seems we are now working to tackle some of these issues that we should have tackled. And I think it's a good way to go, if you ask me particularly. Just like you also see on the Daily Trust newspaper, our audio in the bush, and that's coming from a rescued Niger student. That's exactly the big caption also, talking about some of those students who were, returned, explaining their audience and some of the things they faced in the bush, how the trauma and all of that. But you get to read and maybe a glimpse into that story as we move on into some of the stories we have breaking on the newsprint this. But of course, you can also see 17 agencies scored 0 in efficiency rating. That's also a report. But let's get into the analysis proper. And that's exactly what I want you to tackle first. We understand now that U.S. lawmakers have visited Benue. So let me get a glimpse of what you think, Victor Akilai. What do you make of this? They've gone from there is Christian genocide in Nigeria. They've gone from questioning and having the U.S. congressional, meeting or whatever you can call a feast of reason around the whole issue to say what exactly is happening in Nigeria. They've invited some persons that are concerned to say, are you sure this thing exists? Are we not making a mistake? And from that particular issue, now they are taking a step further to say we are visiting Nigeria. And not just Nigeria, visiting the places that are concerned, that are affected. Because if you understand, if you follow this story, Benue has also been in the know, especially as to Christian genocide for a while now. So we've seen that issue. So it seems like they are not just speaking, they are not just talking, they are walking the talk. I mean, the U.S. lawmakers. What do you make of all of this? Let me get your coordinated view on this particular issue.
Thank you. Good morning once again.
Yeah, good morning.
So the world is seeing everything that is happening in Nigeria. The whole world is saying there is Christian genocide. And government knows this. Now, shall I say they are denying that truth? I may not be able to say yes, but they are actually saying this to maybe reduce the tension on Nigerians. The governor of Benue State, the governor of Benue State said it sometimes ago that there was Christian genocide and there's Christian genocide. Some few governments have mentioned it openly that there is Christian genocide and is affecting their own states. So the internet doesn't forget. All these things are there. The whole world is seeing what is happening everywhere. The internet is helping the whole world to see everything. So I won't say the government is lying. I would only say they are trying to maybe ease the tension on Nigerians, which is a bit fair if you ask me on that. So, like I said yesterday, thank you USA for coming in, and thank you for wanting to do this. I still strongly believe that we should allow them do their job, do what they will wish to do, and then open a lot of secrets that we do not know, and then bring all these things to an end.
It seems there's some sort of bilateral relations and intentional conversations going on, especially with the federal government, no Ribadu, and international bodies. Yesterday was French President Macron. Before now, we've seen also maybe some U.S. lawmakers as well as congressmen having conversations. We've heard reports of having a kind of conversation between the federal government of Nigeria and then those international people. Now, we understand that this might not be a guns are blazing kind of situation again, because now there's conversation, there's rapport, and then there's a lot of things they are building. But again, what do you expect from this particular meeting that they have come to Benue? I want to ask this question in this way to say, do you think there's still a chance to come guns are blazing if they discovered that their claims of Christian genocide was ever true? Or do you expect that to be a reality, that it will still be a guns are blazing kind of scenario?
I don't think so, because of what use will the intervention will now be if it leads to that. I believe what they want to do is to ensure that the killings end, there's permanent solution, and let everybody have liberty. Is a secular nation, all right? So let everybody have the liberty, the freedom of their religion. Let's stop the killing, let's stop the insecurity. I think that is the only reason they are coming in.
I'm asking this because what if all of that would mean that shortly after they leave, there's another case?
Shortly after they leave?
These are just like hypothetical situation, but we can also, maybe if they get to see that, yes, this number, the figures are too high to just look away. How do you tackle those people, the perpetrators? Because you said they want to maybe help us get the solution to this. But again, how can they get to the end of this without getting the end of the lives of those people perpetrating those atrocities?
So I want to link that question to a news we heard some time ago that the government is going to give us a list of the perpetrators. Do you remember that we're going to have the names of all the perpetrators? So yes, if they get to the end of this, I believe we should have the list of the perpetrators and let them face the proper wrath of law. All right?
The perpetrators or the financiers?
Both of them. Both of these categories. The financiers and the perpetrators. The financier, let them face the wrath of law. And they are both criminals. You are perpetrating crime, and then you are funding crime. Both of you are criminals. They should face the wrath of law. So I so much believe, let us have the list of these people and then let them face the wrath of law. When they face the wrath of law, let there be peace and tranquility in the nation. We don't need to we don't need to have another chaos after that. We've had enough.
Okay, so I mean, like, for want of time, we might need to stretch over to other stories that are making the rounds. Court declines Nnamdi Kanu's request for prison transfer. You've seen this story, and of course, when it started, we were all abreast, we were all in the know, trying to see what will happen, what will become of Nnamdi Kanu's issue, to the point of sentencing, to his family members, making a claims in court as well, trying to file another, and every other person, Gumi and some other person saying they would like to help him if he's remorseful. But then, this is the story we have on the print today, and it's something to really talk about. When we've seen court declining Nnamdi Kanu's request for prison transfer, he wants a move from Sokoto to somewhere better, so you can maybe prepare for it. But the court also made it known that you don't have to be there to maybe for representation, a sentence has been given. There's going to be an appeal or whatever. You don't physically have to be there in a sense, yeah. So by saying it needs time, it needs a conducive environment to work on this, some of these files and documents and all that. But again, this is what we have on the print, that court is declining his request to move from Sokoto. What could have been the issue with Sokoto? Do you think there's an issue with Sokoto that might be a threat to the life of Nnamdi Kanu?
I just laugh at the man called Kanu anytime I read his story. I like him. He's a visionary, but I think it's too on a very negative side. So let's go back a bit to the roots. This is someone that is fighting for the freedom of a particular. You want a nation out of a nation, fine, but because of your own fight, you have caused a lot of havoc in the nation as a whole, and for the nation you're even fighting for its separation. And then here is you again, still not remorseful, you are still negotiating, you are still talking boldly. This is you that, every Monday they sit at home in the East, and then whoever does not follow that law will be killed, will be burnt. And a lot of family members have lost their family members because of that. This is you who have put the nation into tension, and then you are in the prison, and you still have the boldness to talk as though you are a free man. I mean, I think Nigeria, the justice, what's the word now? The justice system of Nigeria has even been lenient enough for him. So maybe they should intensify his penalty. Maybe that will keep him more quiet.
I mean, like, what can be more than the sentences already got?
I wouldn't like to talk about this, but if you go into the world and look at more stories, there's a guy in Finland. He didn't even do half of what Nnamdi Kanu has done to Nigeria. Government rendered him killed straight. But
let's not belabor that issue. Let's move on to something I think of interest to many students now. It seems the federal government is moving in the direction of youth or students, should we say education now? Because the story on the Nation newspaper reads, students to access federal government's 50 million naira innovation grant. We brought it also in the news just a couple of minutes ago, that students are to access about 50 million innovation grants. You can see that story on the front page of the Nation newspaper, and that allows the Minister of Education speaking to that issue, that students are going to access this fund. This seems like a good way to go. Let me take your reaction to this. What do you think this would really help students to be more creative? Because the idea behind this is not just for schooling, it's for them to be creative. It's for them to do more than they have even envisaged themselves doing. So this is more like, maybe some would say it's a good way, but what do you think? What do you make of this?
It's a good one if it is properly mentored, properly seen through. So when you give this funding, this grants to a youth, let there be proper mentoring, that he or she uses the funds uses it properly for his own productivity, and of course giving back to the nation as a whole. So it's a good one if it is properly mentored and they're not siphoned by some other wicked people in the commission. All right, so we had a story sometimes ago when was it not Bank of Agriculture that was calling people, hello, come and take loan of 5 million naira. You will give us 3 million or 2 million, you will take 2 million. You understand? So let us not have such case in this again. It is a good one. Let us mentor it and see it through to the end properly. More like you are giving money to someone and then you are mentoring the person to guide him on how to spend the money properly for his own productivity and giving back to the nation at large. So yeah, it's a good one.
There was a story we took, I think last week, yes, about northern governors coming together to say they want to beef up security across the north. So I think a group of them also came together to say they are backing state police. That was shortly after the Southwest governors have said, this is what we are doing. So they came on to say they wanted to do, but while they said that, there was something they also wanted a ban on. They wanted a ban on illegal mining in their state. And of course, I think they wrote to the federal government to that effect. And that seems to be the issue now. Because if you recall, not so long ago, Oshiomhole was speaking to the issue of illegal miners, how that they have been the ones financing terrorism in the country, because he was speaking to the volume of money that comes from that particular sector, and it's illegal. How that there's so much, and those places are like remote areas that people don't go, but some way, somehow, some people just have a way of getting their noses into those information to say there's a particular resource here and we must get it out. So it seems like illegal miners are not helping the country, according to some claims. Now, it seems now that we have the story on Nigerian Tribune newspaper. It says, miners tackle northern governors, reject call for ban on mining. They wanted a ban for 6 months. Miners are saying, no, you cannot ban us. What do you make of all of this in the mix? In the mix of insecurity, especially in the northern region?
Nobody is above the law. What effrontery do they even have to tackle government that they don't want to go and ban? What effrontery? That's to tell you that there are some backbones behind them, you know. But nobody's against the law. The law will stand. So government or the governors should keep at it. They must be banned. For every reason, they must be banned. It is illegal. It is invasion. And there are claims that they are funding terrorism.
But I think the ban is going to cut across even legal ones. They want a halt. That's what. That's
okay, so as it's going to affect the legal ones, here's the thing. Like Yoruba will say, when the
sinner is being punished, the righteous
might take from it. So here's the thing. Let us ban. It's a ban. It's not a total cancellation. Let us ban it. Investigate who are legal, who are illegal. The ones that are legal, after a while, maybe after 6 months, let them go back to business. Those that are illegal, put them out of business. Let them face the wrath of law. Simple.
Yeah. You know, the National Security Advisor also. This is another story now. He handed over 100 rescue pupils to Niger government, and the whole country went eureka, like a big moment for us, which is a good thing. You know, like I also mentioned the other time, U.S. Congressman Riley Moore is also saying that we are making progress, that it says that security talks with Nigeria is productive. And now Tinubu also gave an order recently that go get the girls. He said, bring back the girls. All of this is happening at the time when another story is happening just right in our eyes. And that's the story of gunmen murdering pastor's wife and raise houses, vehicles in Anambra church and kill 4 in another community. Did you see the story? Did you see the church in it? That's why I'm trying to make an emphasis. Because it seems some people just want an opera. Even while everything is settling down in a way, the dust is settling. Some don't want it to settle. And I know you would say that the government should go after them, you know, tooth and nail, fight them to the point of surrender. But again, what exactly, I want you to just put this together. What exactly is the issue of insecurity, and why has it become so prominent in the country? Because there was a time Nigeria was not like this, not at this magnitude. But it seems we have deteriorated so much. What exactly is sponsoring, bankrolling, influencing this whole insecurity in the country?
Okay, so permit me to say this. Insecurity is a problem that a lot of nations of the world are facing, not only Nigeria. A lot of nations of the world are facing insecurity. So how does it affect our whole nation? Why is this getting too much for us? Okay, so as you and I are talking about it every day as a national issue that needs urgent solution, just like that are other nations also agitating that they want permanent solution in their own too. So it is not only peculiar to Nigeria. I think there are a lot of, I don't want to start mentioning it because of our time, there are a lot of nations also facing this insecurity issue. So back home now, why I said that is so that we don't feel we are the only nation across over 200 nations of the world that have problem or that has problem. No, a lot of nations also have problems. So why is this getting so much in Nigeria? Wow, we need to go back to history. All of these things have been, we just were not putting our minds to them. We were not seeing them as major issues. We are not seeing them as something that we needed to face then. So it grew into what we have today. So how can we settle it now? We go back to the roots to start settling. I've said it before, when the foundation be destroyed, what will the righteous do? The righteous can do one thing, go back to the foundation and remold. So this issue that we are having today, as the dust is going down in some places, is rising in other places because the roots have not been dealt with. So when they perpetuate evil in one part and we are likely receiving or likely getting success in that side, the perpetrators will go elsewhere to go and perpetrate another evil there. So what do we need to do? We go back to the roots and undo the perpetrators or the financiers, get them all, then we have peace.
I mean, I wish we could have more time to talk about, because when you raise the issue of, you know, going back to the roots, some have also claimed that the roots would mean, going back to the roots would mean restructuring and all that, but that's not the case as we have it now, because we have to go for one of time. Thank you very much for joining us, Victor Akinlayin.
Thank you for having me.
So it's a pleasure having you around. Now we move on to the big story with Samson, but you want to know what we want to talk about, you need to stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. After this break, we'll be back shortly.